Who's some of the trials here? One of the trials.
How you doing?
So you have to say, you know, so you have associated business. You know, I know it's capital. One was in the back of the truck.
I'm gonna call our work session of the Ware County Board of Commissioners together on May the 25th. May the 23rd, 2016, 2:00 p.m. Again with a roll call vote, again with Commissioner Melton,
Present.
Commissioner Turner,
Present.
Commissioner Dixon,
Present.
Commissioner Aldridge.
Present.
The chair is present. Let the record show, Madam Clerk, that we're all present. Stand for the invocation that I've asked Commissioner Aldridge to do, and pledge allegiance by Commissioner Dixon.
That's right. But Heavenly Father, truly we thank you for this another day you've granted us, Lord. We thank you for all your many wonderful blessings. We thank you for the beautiful weather. We thank you for the rain you've sent us so bountifully in recent days, Lord.
Yes.
We just ask now as we go into this work session that you just be in our midst, that you would lead, guide, and direct in everything that we say or do, Lord, and even what we think. In Christ's name we pray.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We've got a rather short agenda today, and I had Ms. Rosemary Sweat who called me Friday about a very important person in our community, and I asked her to come and give us an overview. Ms. Rosemary Sweat at 910 Jimmy Howell Road. Ms. Rosemary, would you come?
My name is Rosemary Sweat. I live at 910 Jimmy Howell Road, Waycross, Georgia, 31503. And I'm here today to make a request. Most of you in this room, I'm sure, knew Tom Boland. He was a very vital part of our community and this whole area actually, and even the state of Georgia. He was a very popular man in his role as a county agent. And my request was, and I had talked to Chairman Brown about this, the possibility of naming something in our county in honor of Tom Boland. We talked about a street, and then he mentioned the fact last week when I talked to him that the building where the county agent is now housed in the 4-H meet, that building needs a name. So we discussed the possibility of naming that building in honor of Tom Boland.
Okay. Commissioner, y'all have anything y'all want to say? I told her that I've known Tom Boland from a young kid in 4-H at Ware School. And there's probably a lot of other folks that knew him and heard him on the radio every morning talking about the farming and all the farm production, one thing and another. And I think it would be great if we could do that.
I agree.
Any commissioners like to add to what I just said?
He lives my district. You know I'm moving on. I've known Mr. Tom a long time.
Well, he was a fine man.
Yes,
I mean,
yes,
he'd do
ma'am.
anything for you personally on the farm. You give him a call at home. I don't care what it was. He would quit what he was doing, and if he didn't have an answer, he'd get you an answer. He was just a fine Christian man.
He helped get me elected first time. Just vote.
So we first talked about a year ago, I think it was, or maybe a little longer than that, about naming part of Augusta Avenue. But then you get into all that address changing through 911, which would be a big task to do that. And she called me back about it, and it hit me. What about that nice building we got out there that needs a name, and to name it in honor of him? And I'm certainly 100% in favor of doing that. Commissioners all okay with that?
Yes, 100%. We're on the route.
Okay. Do we need to put this in official, Mr. Attorney, do we need to make this official in our minutes?
I think I would.
I would say do that,
Okay.
just, yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
I mean, yeah. We kind of don't know what our history's been, but I think we voted before on those, so I think we should vote.
Since we don't have a call meeting today, it's not listed on here as a call
We
meeting.
do have a call meeting. We do have a
They
call
are?
meeting, yes.
Okay, I was looking at this.
Mhm.
Okay,
Put it on
add that on our consent agenda, please, ma'am. All right, next item, request to
Thank you.
approve contract.
Thank you.
Yes,
Am I done?
Yes.
Trying to rush y'all. Thank you, Sister Rosemary, for coming.
Thank you so much. Appreciate y'all.
Okay, request to approve contract with R.H. Tyson Construction. Mr. Manager, I'll let you take the lead on that. Sorry, you deal with it.
Yes, sir, you see the tabulation of bids that we had. Mr. R.H. Tyson was the apparent low bidder. What we would really like to do, if this commission is okay, we would like to do a not to exceed amount and value engineer where we can, and maybe bring back the commission some proposals for deducts or whatever we see after we award a not to exceed amount to the apparent low bidder, who's R.H. Tyson Construction. You see the tabulation of bids. It's for the admin building, and so long story short is, if it's okay with the commission, the funding from the 2008 SPLOST is there. We would have to dip a little bit into our roads portion, but we have a road extension as part of that project, and also the sidewalk that's going to be parallel with Ossie Davis Parkway will be part of that. You've seen all the progress we've made on the site, and so it's the recommendation of Mr. John Baines that we had set the low bid of R.H. Tyson Construction.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to have some discussion on that right now. And,
Okay, go
I
ahead.
really have some concerns all about awarding any contract at this point until some of the details are been reviewed a little bit more. Mr. Attorney?
Can I ask a question? I just don't know about, I'm just curious. In terms of process, and I suppose the architect has recommended, the low bid, of course, but also on the not to exceed, procedurally, what's his recommendation about how to manage that and then do the value engineering? What's the process as he sees it?
Well, what we have is the shell that we all agreed to and the footprint and plans that we all agreed to. And procedurally, you could look at the exterior wrap, various types of interior, your generator, your backup power. We provided for a 911 room in there that we're going to try to outfit and house in the event that we have to evacuate, obviously in the industrial park, and some other components. And just looking at those more in depth after we award, we could obviously negotiate with the low bidder. And so,
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. My question is this, though. Do you know what the percent the contracts were they 75, 80% complete, the actual specs that they bid on? How, do you know what they were?
no, so they were 100% complete.
So
They're 100% documents.
Good.
We asked for bidders and plan holders through the architect, and they're 100% complete, and the recommendation is to award to R.H. Tyson.
The only thing that I see other than, is that it's really typically best to get it all agreed to before you actually go into contract. I think that once you get all the deducts and you get all the, what's expected of the contractor and the architect and engineers, and then you'll be able to make a decision. You'll come to a final resolution. And I think at this time, if you do it now, it really doesn't put us in a very good position as owners to sit down with them and let's go over the design build changes that they have in mind. So can't we just put it off until you get together with this engineer, maybe the contractor, and all of you come together on what that's going to be, what their final number's going to be, and then you don't have to worry about so much what not to exceed. You'll have your not to exceed price. So is that reasonable to the commission?
Yes, for me.
I mean, how long would it take you to do that?
We don't want the contractor coming back and say, well, you know, I've got to add this, I've got to add this, and let's more money.
Well, they bid on 100% document. Anything from this point forward would be an allowance that we would agree to or not agree to. In other words, if they decided the shell wrap or the insulation was R19 and or R30 and we wanted to go to R19, then everything would come back and be agreed upon from any change that deviate from what was bid.
What I'm saying is we want to know what the changes are. We want to know where the final number's
Well,
going to be.
you would, because we wouldn't authorize anything
I
that,
understand that, but I'm just saying, can't y'all get together and have this conversation without having a contract in place? I'm sure we're aware that they're low bidders, and we're all in favor, I'm sure, at moving forward with that. But I'm not of the opinion that that needs to be done prior to giving them a contract. I think you should have that understanding clarified. It's not going to change anything, but it does make a difference if you give them a contract. That's a totally different position. So let's just sit down and negotiate with them. You know they're low bidders. I'm sure they're not going to reject sitting down with you long enough to talk with the engineers and do their value engineering and then come, because that's just part of the process.
Well, out of curiosity, what was the not to exceed amount you had in mind? This figure?
that's right. That's their bid amount for what was designed 100%, that they would deliver, you know, this insulation, this type exterior, this type door frame, this type carpeting,
My
all
next
that,
question would be,
all this.
what percentage, like if they come present a change of work order, what is your percentages in there that you're allowing?
As far
Markup.
as far as
Nothing they could come with would exceed this amount if that's what you award the
That-
contract for.
Well,
There's
there's
no
al-
10% or 20,
there's
15?
always the opportunity for a change order.
That's
when you
my
go-
question.
and
What
there's
what
always-
is the what is the allowance that you're putting in there for that change of work order change? What's the figure? Is there a figure?
Well, what our initial thoughts are is the only concerns that we have, if any, and they will be concerns till the day that we dig into the footer, so to speak, is below ground. Above ground, when you go up, the shell, the type paint, the type windows, the type doors, the type carpet, all that is definitive. The only variable that you really have is underground utilities. What if you dig down and find out that there's a fiber optic line, or something of that nature? Not that it would come in our realm, but the unknown of digging down and putting in the footers or whatever, and that's always going to be a concern. On-site storm drainage, as best we know, is identified, has been identified, scoped out. There's always that. That's in any contract. You can't guarantee that you won't find something you
The
miss.
question is, Paul, it's not all about the unforeseeables on the foundation. We gave $50,000 for them to go do exploratory undergrounds. We gave them so they could bore and find out all results of whatever material's down there. And if they run into an unforeseeable, we understand that. But what I'm saying is, if we decided to accept a change on the exterior of the building, and that saves you $1 million, we don't want that $1 million, you know, we don't want change orders coming back to us to represent any large amounts of dollars. So let's just go ahead and get it worked out prior to the contract. That way, it'll be a cleaner process, and if there is some unknowns, then we're more than rational and reasonable about
seeing that it gets paid for.
Brother Clark,
Yeah.
has the engineers that designed this building and the contractor sat down and went through this thing with a,
They are doing in that process now.
oh, they're in that process?
They're in that process.
So everybody's
now.
on the same sheet of music?
They are, I would say, if I might,
Yes, sir.
if y'all want to table it and lay it over to another meeting, I don't have a problem with that. I know that we want to get started on this as soon as we can, and that was the reason that it was on here. I talked to Mr. Paul, and you know, I said, let's put it on, and anything that we can negotiate out, we'll just leave as a contingency fund in case we run into something underground or whatever. So we may have better negotiating powers by not approving it today, just putting it on the table.
I think it's not gonna hurt us to take a few days and get the principals together and let them at least get it within
Didn't have to call
a
it.
purview, you know?
We can do it.
If we have to call a special
Let's
meeting to
do
approve
that.
this,
Let's let them finish what you said, they're in the process of
Right.
moving down.
Okay.
And then that takes away any surprise, there's no surprises out
and
there
the other question is,
on this amount of money.
And
Another
maybe,
question
maybe the
is-
architect then can also be available if we need for any questions y'all may have.
I think it'd be good to have the architect there.
Because he'll be able to give some real insight about the design. And once they go through that process, whatever the value engineering is, you know, that'll be helpful.
And we may very well accept the changes on the veneer of the building. I mean, that's not out of the realm of possibilities.
yeah, the marble versus the brick, I've seen that.
Yeah.
And I think this commission's gonna have to decide, do we want it to look different from the rest of this complex, or we want it brick?
I would be like Commissioner Turner, let them work through that process, let's not
Yeah.
rush this. $9 million is a lot of taxpayer
Yeah.
money to do a
The
county.
people voted for this thing, and they want us to be good stewards of $9 million, so we wanna be sure it's spent right. Yes, we need to build it, we sure do.
And we understand, Clark, I do, that we've probably been, let's get this thing going, let's get this thing going now, it looks like we're, but, I mean, let's not overlook something.
Well, that's the normal construction process. Hurry up, wait. We blow through there, we tear out the water main, and then we got a big hole.
Yeah, we don't want to claim coming back with a contract and saying you cost me 30 days of construction. So let's just get it all worked out up front.
Then we
Take
have
2
to-
weeks, if it takes 2 weeks, it
If we have
takes
to
2
have a
weeks.
call meeting.
It'll probably
I don't
take
think
2 weeks at
Commissioner Harris
least.
wouldn't come up here for
It
15
may take
minutes.
more.
That's right.
We've been waiting a day or
Well,
two.
if you get to the point where we can sit down,
Well, if somebody wants to be involved in the process, they're more than welcome. I mean, and to drill down and looking at the facade and looking at the window locations and all
well,
that.
we certainly
We
need,
got
at
our man right there.
some point, we're gonna be agreeing whether or not we're gonna award a contract. So all we want to see is what your final results, your findings are. That's what we want to take a look at.
Okay, Commissioner, y'all okay with that? All right. We don't have to vote to change that, we'll just go on to the next item. Okay, item 2 under tab B, Mr. Manager.
Yes, sir, this is a request to approve the contract with CSRA Probation Services for Superior Court. We've already been through it with state court. And so this is a request to approve. That's basically a mirror contract for probation services.
Same thing as takes you.
The same company,
Same contract.
Same everything.
same out, you know, you can get out.
I don't have a problem with
I support Judge Gillis all the way.
Okay, you can, Commissioner, y'all okay? All right, Madam Clerk, put that on there, we'll approve this. Okay, under tab C, Commissioners' items, Commissioner Nelson.
I don't have anything, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Turner.
Nothing.
Okay, I don't have anything either, so we'll go right on to the manager.
Nobody's running for office.
This ain't-
This ain't reporters out here.
It's two
All right,
things I don't do. There's two things I
on.
don't do. I don't talk about politics in a meeting, and I don't carry no shirt no signs on my vehicle to church. Take them off.
Embedded in your agenda here, we're looking at Needham Road. Public Works has been out on one occasion and dug out some very bad spots, and as you can see from the attached picture, with approximately what's estimated to be 50,000 loads coming out of here, I think that, we will see more and more impacts like this. I think these places are going to continue to walk out and spread. This process and material is not made for those type impacts. There's, from what I understand, around a 40-acre pit that's permitted off of a county road. The limits of liability, I guess, when it's all said and done, stop at the right-of-way for the department. It's a sand bituminous product, it's a surface treatment product, and long story short is, they're, in our best case scenario, we're just not made for that type of impact. And it's gonna be day in and day out until they get material.
Finish tearing it up.
And my understanding is there will be other impacts in and around this road because of other permitted process. 700,000 yards of dirt is basically 50,000 loads. We'd probably, I don't know what they dug out of there, they've got a cross section and all, but I just wanted to know any thoughts or procedures or processes. I've stated this to DOT, and basically speaking, they said, our process stops at the limits of the project.
What about the contractor that's doing this? Is that McClendon?
McClendon's all of that.
Where are they? I mean, I know they're contracted to DOT for the, but I mean, I was through there yesterday. And the patching, by the way, that Michael and them did is holding up for now, probably a week, and it'll be gone. It's that area where those trucks are coming out of that pit and making that turn on and all. It's never going to stay there. It is not. So I would think that the contractor should have some skin in this.
Where's, they're taking it out of this pit, where's it going?
700,000 yards, 50,000 truckloads.
Well,
Some pile of dirt.
why don't, I mean, I'm not trying to short circuit any discussion y'all want to have about it, but I think Paul and I need to look at this and sit down and look at what's going on out there. There's statutory provisions which if a private individual has this kind of impact on our road, we have the ability to take some action. And we need to look and see, we don't want to strong arm anybody. The damage to this road is irreparable without a lot of cost. So we need to sit down and look at that, and maybe, I've got to be in Brussels tomorrow, Paul, but either on the way going or coming, maybe you and I can take a little closer look at this and provide a report to y'all about maybe some solutions, because I think at this level, we got to look beyond just,
I've never seen a dirt
Mr. Attorney,
yes,
we in the past have, if there is a logging operation going on and they damage the road, we present them with the bill and they pay to fix the road.
that's correct.
Where is this any different? This company is contracted not to Ware County.
They got insurance.
They're contracted to the DOT, and it's no different to me than an independent logger that we send the bill for a road repair.
That's why I just said, we need to look at that, because there's there are provisions, or statutory provisions that protect municipal and actually even state roads. I mean, so I would predict that if this were a state highway, DOT would stop it. I just may have, I could be wrong about that.
Liabilities
I'd
involved.
say immediately, I'd say immediately,
So just, just guessing, maybe that's something we can talk to them about.
Yeah, and I've never seen a dirt hauler yet that didn't want to maintain his haul road. I mean, because you beat your dump trucks to death when you come in there and start messing, but they're not going to do anything until they actually,
Forced to.
it gets to the point where it's impacting them as far as their
Well,
haul.
this picture you got right here, it's a long curve coming in,
Where it's
and
all
you
at.
actually kind of blindsided until they get around there to it. So it's a real.
You probably
it's a
find
real
out
danger.
in their contract, they probably are contracted to maintain haul roads.
And this was just resurfaced 12 months ago.
Yeah.
This section.
With a big,
Yeah.
Well,
But that, we weren't aware of the fact that they were gonna have a pit right there. either.
had we probably would have waited.
there's not gonna be a solution to this that involves some concrete discussions with these folks. So, why don't, Paul and I this week look at this, and I mean, we're gonna have to do what we try to manage the ongoing damage and make sure we minimize it so that whatever at the end of this, we can come in without a maximum cost to repair. But, we'll look at that, and I'll let, Paul can email y'all, and we'll see what we got.
Just a footnote there, the DOT did have $7 million set aside for additional funds to do different things on right-of-ways and other such. So, you know,
Expense of them.
That's bad, that's, yeah.
On the Cherokee Augusta alignment, there were basically 3 options that were sent to us to look at. And one of them is 95% striking and some other indicators. One of them with a decel and a center turn lane, and then one of them is with a realignment and actually getting off of our property and our right of way. And I'll be glad to send all these to the commission, or if you want to look at them briefly.
You got a set for each commission?
Is that's at the,
that's the heritage.
well, that property
Yeah,
on the,
this kind of, send 3 out, this kind of
I think,
This is a pure striping, A. You'll look in your bottom right corner, it's a pure striping project.
All right. That's the only.
Maybe just a little bit of raised median or whatever on the existing right of way.
Yeah.
B gets off of our alignment, obviously, in our right of way and impacts some deeded city property that I think is dedicated for parks that I don't think that we would ever be able to get a free and clear title to get that alignment. And then C is, has a little bit of a dedicated turn lane and alignment on Augusta.
That
I
would
don't-
be difficult to get that C. I don't foresee. you
And
getting
B
that right.
also, because they both kind of align the same way.
How much right-of-way is required there on C, Paul, because you already have some right-of-way there.
I think that's.
Well,
property.
that's
All that is.
speculating, that's entirely, C and B are entirely off of our right-of-way, I would say, with the alignment. Now, obviously, the curvature, some of it we would probably capture with that alignment, but B being the biggest portion of right-of-way that we would need, C being another remnant portion, but we looked into those things, and at one time, there was gonna be a corporate center for the Jones Company there. And I think the complexities with the deeding of that property to the city, exclusively to the city, for park reasons only, makes it a highly complex acquisition.
And I thought that was because they were doing it commercial. It was
That's
going to be
it,
sold
probably.
commercial. I wouldn't,
But I
it had
think
anything to
it's,
do with public
You
use.
don't think it'd be a problem getting a little easement there?
No, I mean, I thought it was only because it was going to be sold for a, for commercial development, not public use. That's what I was
but
thinking.
I think the entanglement was because it was deeded
Oh, I
to the
agree with
city
you.
as a park
For-
use only.
Yeah, for public use.
Yeah, but just to get a little easement property to correct
Public
this,
use.
for school buses, I don't know that that would be a real problem.
Well, why wouldn't
Exhibit A work, that would be very much like the Jamestown intersection out there at the old, where the old highway turn, it would be basically the same type of intersection, and that seems to work.
That takes care of the radius on the buses, how they have been having
Yeah.
to swing out. And
Well, they have to come in.
I think it still needs some right of way.
More dimensional data,
The turning lane work.
would come out of our concept, I just put it to you that way. More impact than dimensional data. This is a concept obviously presented by DOT to fix that. And my understanding is through striping and all, your left turn movements would be accommodated and anybody swinging off would be accommodated by this curve geometry change and the alignment change. I had thought of some different things, me personally, but don't get me into being a designer. That would work better, but I mean, this may be the best. They look at intersections of this complexity all the time. And,
Well, what were you thinking about?
we're,
Just plowing, about taking about 45 or 35 and just cutting right across.
Pretty sure plan.
Just
Shorter school buses.
Yeah, sure.
That the fab shop, that the fab shop, cutting torches and, drive shaft alignment.
I guess my question is, how much intrusion would you be on Mr. Conway's property? That's my question.
Oh, period?
Yeah.
Zero.
I don't see any as far as that.
Not with that, what.
Either, any of these, I don't see.
Right, even with B.
Only, the only impact I know of is guessing that the city owns this triangle here and the way that it was deeded. Now, it may not be an entanglement, as he stated, it's just.
The turning,
I don't
check.
I don't think it'd be that much trouble with the city cooperating with school board and county trying to get this curve
I
taken
think
care
if
of.
you
know,
go
it's like-
beyond.
I was, the attorney had to look on the screen, I was gonna ask him to go ahead and share that with us.
It's not going to.
Seems
I'll
like
put it to you this way. It's a fairly cheap option to look at A, and if A doesn't work, you can kind of eradicate all the striping and all that and look at a
Pull
realignment.
up here.
If the cheapest option does not work, let's say you got $5,000, $7,000, $9,000 in striping,
Hardly out.
maybe more than that, let's say $10,000 outlay in striping and cross hatching and stuff of that nature. If it goes away and we figure out it doesn't work and we need to acquire the right of way, at least we got that right there. That's a better alignment for the period of time that it takes us to work out the complexities of getting more right of way and seeing if we can do that.
What was the DOT's recommendation? Which one did they prefer?
I wouldn't say they preferred any of them. They laid out all three as an option. I talked with their guy, Neil Dumberly from Traffic Ops. And they really, they didn't really say one way or another.
Okay.
Why don't you have some conversation with him about, I think the striping on Exhibit A would work. It works out there at US 1 Jamestown Highway. It works well there. And it's the same concept. I don't see why it won't work there.
Well, at least you're looking at your traffic better
That's
and your
exactly
alignment better when you do that, when you're approaching.
You look
And
south.
swinging off, that's no big issue.
This
Well,
right here
that
is
seems
to the
to be-
striping.
You look at
They
south
don't
and
see
east,
that.
bump right up.
Well, from what I've been told,
To force
that
them over
has been
into
the
that.
issue, is swinging off the road. That has been the issue.
Well, we didn't talk about any raised median concrete. We talked about a pure striping project. If you did, later on, if you needed to manipulate a little bit, you make it look at the raised concrete median.
Force them over. I
If
would.
they're just not even paying attention to your striping.
I think it'll work. I think Exhibit A would work. I like B. You like it?
If you're gonna look towards the future, I mean, because that going up towards the church, going up towards, Memorial,
around.
it'd be easier when you have that turning lane to get them cars to the left and, because they gonna be backed up. Them cars could be flying up in there, coming from that direction.
Well, if you do Exhibit A, he's talking about $9,000 worth of striping. That's not a lot of money to see how well it's
You
gonna
know?
work.
If,
Compared to buying right away and paving,
Oh, yeah.
How long?
Must the state gonna do this project?
Or the city
Oh,
gonna
it
be?
does.
Yeah, the city
City turn this out, if we decide to go ahead and do it.
I mean,
They
it's
have
public
to approve
safety, I
it.
don't see the city selling it.
How long?
Do they have to approve?
No, they're gonna do the design, is that what you said?
This is a conceptual design.
This is-
We would get an engineer surveyor on board to do anything other than A, because we would definitely have to have a registered land surveyor to find out the impact of property where we could value it and buy it, or ask for it to be deeded to us or gifted to us. There may be a prohibition, if, along Augusta, with getting that right away. I don't know what the Heritage Center, what their 501c3, they may have some kind of prohibition on getting rid of any land or something. We may have to condemn it,
Well,
and they may buy into it.
what I do know is that the concerns have been the wide swinging of the buses, and it's been creating traffic problems for folks either driving too close or, not letting them make their swing, coming up on the blind side of them, under the underbelly part of it. So we need to just, if we're gonna fix it, let's fix it.
City gonna be, I would say start a discussion, talk to the city and see, talk to the Heritage Center and start, see if there's any issues, if there are roadblocks.
It's gonna take a
and then we can move on.
Me and
If
take a
there's
look
not,
at the Heritage Center's property.
I'd rather first try to correct it one time and try to do some paving, some striping first and then come back 2 months later and say, oh, that's not working.
Well, you got you have a traffic behavior issue with
You
your
got
strike.
their pattern,
That's the problem. They want you.
their pattern. C doesn't look too bad. I mean, it's,
DLC.
C looks like it is a minimal in,
I like you.
acquisition.
I like, the reason I like that one, because it gives you that turn.
It gives
to
you
the
that,
left.
right.
And I see
And you don't
traffic.
have, and you don't have to worry about these folks shooting out,
Yeah.
from there. We can, you wanna take, how about let Carlos talk to the city, see if they have any problems with
Well, the attorney can do
working
that.
out with us,
City manager.
and then we can, yeah, city manager too, but Carlos can do it also, and we can,
They'll probably back up then, Rick.
right, and then we can talk to the Heritage Center and see if there's, let them take a look at it too, and let the city take a look at it.
We'll let anybody,
Yeah.
See, but-
But I really
It's gonna
don't.
be-
John's asking about the concrete, like the Jamestown, US one intersection, you got to raise concrete, it forces you into the lane that you need to be in.
Right.
And
You
it
pull up
changes
and you
the
look at
behavior
this and
pattern.
that.
It really, you talk about an island that just keeps.
Yes, do that on A, I mean, that,
I don't have a problem looking at,
you would have
Any
to,
of them.
you would have to
Pulls
do
you
that to
straight
break
up
that
in that
pattern that
intersection.
everybody that uses that road is in.
right. Study C a little bit, see what I think about that. And then we'll get back with you, Paul.
all right? I'll send every drawing out to every commissioner.
That's what's
on
Okay.
email.
That'd be fine.
And, we'll
You won't keep these?
I'd rather have these blown up pictures than nobody.
We'll make you a
I'm
copy
good at
before you
reading
leave at the reception,
What they
or the dismissal. Is it a reception or a dismissal?
It's a party.
It's a reception.
We'll need a couple more copies.
We do need 2 more copies of those already.
Okay.
Just don't leave our attorney out, he'll need to see it.
He really said electronic.
Except for me by email.
Also, under the projects that we approved to look at conceptually, being at State Route at 158, the Nichols Highway, they didn't include that in their award in this press release from Ms. Purcell, but they did award us the 2-foot widening, striping, and signs on Harris Road in the amount of $110,000. So I really feel like we did pretty good out of our district. It was $1.8 million total, and we got 110,000 of it out of 21 counties. The average was 86,428. So we more than beat the average on the award. The highest award though was in Effingham County for 290,000, but the lowest award was I see one for $10,000, one for 12, one for 30. So we more than beat the average on the award, but they did not. So I came back and asked them if they could include it in State Route 158 bridge project, and they said it was a little outside of the scope. And I said, well, you know, you can never know until you fire.
Right.
If you've outshot your coverage.
Right. I think it's
So
where,
I out-punted the coverage, I
I
guess.
think it's where the apron starts and stops, I think.
Well, I tell Brooks all the time, you got to terminate a project somewhere. He's always, well, what about this right over there? What about that? Always reaching. I said, you got a termination. You know, you got to term a project somewhere. You can't just keep on annexing projects into it until the next thing you know, your bank account was broke. So I took, you know.
That's how he talks to his wife, too.
Anyway, there's also some requests in for public works staffing to replace some positions, 5 positions. Equipment operators, I think, you know, we've at least got to put on 2. We've had some that's moved up to get CDL, and we moved them to trucks and various other things. But anyway, they're all budgeted. They're all budgeted. There's actually more than that, but we're just going to reach out on that and see if we can get that filled, and then we'll come back to you later. If we,
Well, there was,
We were short, yeah, right, with their budget.
but they are budgeted positions. They're all replacing certain people's and then some older vacated positions. But equipment operator 2s, utility operators, and equipment operator 3. So
We're playing baseball right here, she's trying.
we'll,
yeah, I saw that sign, said a picture.
Y'all do the sign language.
but we're trying to get up to where we can at least work the equipment generally that we have, is what we're trying to do. Dump trucks, graders, gray-alls, all these coverages that we need, so.
Is the new dump trucks got here yet?
No, sir.
Motor graders is sometime out yet.
Yes.
Probably
Six motor graders.
Probably mid-July on the graders.
Huh?
Mid-July on the graders is what I was told Friday.
July.
And the dump truck is any
That'll
day.
be just right, that's the new budget.
Just got CDLs.
Well, we've already appropriated out into the new year with just current demand, so I think we stated that in our budget meetings the other day.
All right. Is that it?
Also, we've got our employee of the month off of vacation. He did so good.
Wait, the money to get
Figured he'd go ahead and spend the $100 that he was gonna get
He's gonna split that.
prior to getting it. But if you want, I'd like for the chairman, if he would, to recognize our employee of the month, Mr. John Carrano.
Oh, John Corona.
For you.
Mr. Manager, would you
We're
read
supposed to take
the,
a picture.
Yeah.
you gonna read that?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, there, Brother John, we put you on trial,
The Ware County Board of Commissioners would like to recognize Mr. John Carano as Ware County's Employee of the Month for April 2016. John is a retired fireman with 20-plus years of public service in Connecticut. Mr. Brown has been employed with the Ware County Sheriff's Office since September of 2011. He is a very hard worker and a pleasure to be around. Yes, you are. He is very attentive to the needs of others and always willing to go the extra mile. John is always on time, helpful, and polite. So we would like to congratulate Mr. Carano as Ware County's Employee of the Month for April 2016. Clap for you.
Thank you.
And let me see what we get our cut.
John, thank you.
Well, I would like to thank everybody, and I appreciate everything, and I love all y'all.
I see where you made Matt jealous.
Well, thank you again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think Larry's
I've hired a photographer.
You where you gonna get?
Is that in the budget?
up here.
Candy in my office.
This is
Short timer, short timer.
Probably need to get up there.
You move your chair, wait,
Let's go up there.
From the field.
Come on up in this old.
That's your last official act.
There we go, now we get it.
I didn't get all the steel in.
We said in the military, so I think you're supposed to shake on.
One more.
Shake on.
Smile, everybody.
The way you move it. Well, I didn't get it on the award.
I think that's right. I can't remember that.
If it's a long enough.
Mine was few and far between.
So this is the, thank you. Thank you so much.
After the fact.
I think it's service above and beyond.
That's good.
Thank you, Brother Larry.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good day.
Good job, good job.
Also, just wanted to let you know that at the Board of Assessors, that I've misstated, we missed our opportunity to open the elevator. If we were going to get an inspection on the 31st, there was some complexities and all, so it's in the very near future.
Over at the rear, or bank building.
At the
Assessors.
Board of Assessors.
Yeah, okay.
But anyway, that's, also, in conjunction with the recent departures, we've got a planned departure in our office who is Deborah Deal. And we need to look at how we can reasonably advertise, capture, and get a little bit of timing in like we have some other departments. Someone, if we can get them on board and get them familiar with our accounting process. So you look at this, we advertise, we're June, maybe July. September, she's retired, she's announced her date some time ago. And so we need to reasonably look at that and replacing that position and getting some training in place prior to her departure, not just all of a sudden, you know.
Somebody's lap.
That's right, drop it in somebody's lap. So we need to look at that and how we approach it. And with your authorization, we will start moving along in that process and formulate a plan to advertise. And if there's any complexities or whatever in that format or formula, we will report it to you, but we need to, you know, start the process, so to speak, because I can foresee it being July.
Yes, sir. No, we got three.
Maybe even August before we get it.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Three.
Do it.
They come in three.
Man, keep us listening.
I think she's 1,000 miles away next Friday. So I can't say out there. The other one's 600 or 700 miles, I think. Next week, you know, 500 in, they don't want any closer. Radius to that. I'm not sure how far it is to Memphis, but it's probably every bit of 600 miles. It's 12, 13 hours.
About 22 hours.
17. So she's about half, a little bit more than half that, so. There you go. But, anyway, unless you have any other questions, that pretty much concludes.
All right, I need a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion. Second.
Have a motion second, all in favor, say aye. Come back, move on in 2 items.
Yeah. Oh, got a coffee.
Just about a 10-minute break.
10 minutes.
Yeah,
Oh,
3
we need a
o'clock.
break?